Being a movie reviewer and someone who reviews a range of different genres and series, there are times where I'm just suddenly jolted into a universe for the first time. This feels like one of those times. Now, I was never really a huge Transformers fan. I did watch like all of them. I'm pretty sure all of them like back in the day, pretty long time ago, honestly. But all I remember is that the later ones, like Age of Extinction and The Last Night, weren't all that impressive because I never really once thought to myself, hey, let's rewatch those movies. Unfortunately, because of that, I kind of forgot like why I feel that way now, not having watched him in such a long time. And yeah, maybe my opinion of them has changed. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to those movies in this review. So let's shift our focus back to current times and the new rebooted prequels, if you want to call them that. The Bumblebee movie that released in 2018, and now this one. Inspired by the Beast Wars storyline in the Transformers cartoons, Rise of the Beast is set in 1994, 7 years after the events of Bumblebee. When a new threat capable of destroying entire planets emerges, Optimus Prime and the Autobots who are stuck on Earth team up with a powerful faction of Transformers known as the Maximals to face their biggest challenge yet. And even though I read this is technically like a sequel to Bumblebee, there's really not too much connected between these two movies. So if you haven't watched that one, there really shouldn't be that big of a deal if you just skip onto this one. However, I still strongly recommend you watch that movie because Bumblebee was a blast. It was a film with a lot of heart, humor, and key character and story development that I just loved. It felt very intimate, and I ended up really feeling a lot for Bumblebee, the girl, and just their relationship with one another, and the development, I guess. This one, however, was just an epic war showdown that felt like an Avengers level battle in a Transformers movie. Like, holy. And that's definitely not a bad thing, even though it kind of sounded like that from the start. There was a great sense of urgency in this movie that I loved, and it was both thrilling and exhilarating at a lot of parts. And best of all, it does keep a lot of the same charm as its predecessor. It was pretty humorous at times, and it got emotional at certain moments too. And that's largely to the fact that I did watch Bumblebee, like I rewatched it just before this one. I feel like if you watch that one, man, the major scenes in this one with Bumblebee in them are just that much more emotional. Similarly to that movie as well, this movie felt like one for the human protagonist. Even though I felt like the main lead wasn't as strong this time around and I didn't feel as much for him, a lot of things surprised me in this movie, especially in the third act. I was like, whoa, damn. While this movie definitely wasn't as intimate feeling this time around, and some of the action did feel a bit repetitive and meaningless in a way since, it's way more action-packed, some of the things that happened in the final act really gave me life. The story was a bit of a drag at some points. I was kind of like dozing off at certain times, maybe due to the fact that I was kind of sleepy already and the session was a late night showing. But when the final act came, man, it awoke me instantly. Even though this movie might be too absurd for some people, highly unrealistic, blah blah blah, and even though this story really isn't too much or like anything to really brag about, unlike the previous movie for me, it was just mainly just really dumb fun for the most part. Kind of like Fast and Furious in a way. The action sequences, slow-mo, and visual effects, along with some of the badass music and certain suspenseful scenes, made for a very thrilling watch. And sure, even though the CGI was questionable at certain points, it still didn't deter me from the fact that I just had a lot more fun than I thought I would coming into it. Maybe it's because I expected it not to be so good because of my experience with all the past Transformers movies, and also maybe because I did kind of see the rating beforehand and it wasn't that good. And the reason why I saw it was because, man, um, this movie is actually technically a few days later. Like, normally I like to review all movies when it first comes out, right? And that's really what I normally do. But for some reason, like, this movie's already been out for like 5 days or something, maybe 4 by the time I watch. I don't know this, but I mean, I do know that in other countries it's definitely out already. Normally, like, man, when I go to Rotten Tomatoes, the critic scores, some of them are there, but the audience scores haven't really rolled in yet. This is one of the movies that's the opposite, because here in Australia, for some reason, technically we get this movie on June the 22nd. Like, pretty much later than most of the world, right? And even movie theaters here in my country, in my city, think that's absurd. And right now, like, a lot of places are getting, like, advanced screenings. Like, we have a long weekend right now. Like, that's when I watched it. Like, what's the day right now? Like, June the 10th or something like that? Yeah. Ultimately, Transformers Rise of the Beast probably isn't as good as its predecessor in my eyes, but it still served as a thrilling and exciting watch that I feel like Transformers fans will like, because it definitely felt like one of the better Transformers movies I've watched. The final act especially really surprised me by just how good it was. Some parts of this movie was a bit lackluster though. Like, I felt like the primal side of the Transformers, the gorilla, the leopard, the either way, I just feel like they didn't get enough showtime or care, really. And I also really didn't find myself caring for any of the characters, except I'd say Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, and Mirage and Noah, but I mean, those are the main 3, so I guess we're good then. But definitely in terms of like the emotions and the story, it definitely did feel like a step down from the Bumblebee movie. But in terms of the action, it's definitely a step up. And I mean, like, the ending was pretty exciting, so I'll give it that. I don't know if it was exciting because it just referenced like some other works, which I won't get into because it might be considered spoilers, or because it does that and reference like past Transformers movies. Like, I don't know how this film really fits in with the rest, like Transformers 1, 2, Age of Extinction, Last Night. Am I missing one? I don't know. It's been a while. But yeah, since this is a prequel that's set, let me see, I think it's set like 10, 12 years before the events of the first Transformers movie. But apparently I read that these are like 2 somewhat connected universes, but different in a way. Because it's like a different timeline or something. I don't know. Let me know, because like I said in the beginning, like you kind of guessed, I'm not really into Transformers that much, which is a shame. But I mean, I guess I should have watched all the Transformers movies coming to this one, but work. I honestly don't have time to watch or have the willpower to watch any movies other than ones that are newly released, quite simply because of work and other stuff. But unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm going to give Transformers Rise of the Beasts a B+. The reason why I say Transformers fans might like this one a lot more is because, man, the theater I was in was packed. There was a lot of old people, as well as new ones, younger ones, I mean. But I mean, towards the end especially, there was a lot of, and I guess throughout, right? Especially the scenes with Bumblebee, man. There were a lot of oohs and ahs, and I kind of felt that too. I was like, wow. I mean, some of the things that happened in this movie were pretty thrilling. So, I don't know, but I mean, look, when Bumblebee first came out, I remember I described it, I reviewed it in my little notepad back then when I didn't review movies. I described it as one of the best Transformers movies in a while. So, really enjoyed that, and I think I rated it like an A, or no, it might have been an A-. So, That's why I think like a B or B plus is fitting for this movie. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching, like and sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.